It's Sunday afternoon and I am here to share with you my Paper Cameo Pink French Romantic Journal. My name is Dodie Williams, and if you are just joining me for the first time, I really appreciate it. I hope you can come back or look at some of my old videos. I just really enjoy doing this. I love sharing what I make and sharing some of my little tips and my little ways of doing things. So to get started, this is once again, it's a string bound journal, so each page was made individually. The cover is a protective cover that is a piece of watercolor paper, which I have taken some Mod Podge and printed one of Nicola's beautiful pink papers onto rice paper, just plain white rice paper, and then I've Mod Podged it onto the watercolor paper, and it really makes a wonderful protective cover for these loose leaf journals, and I do love making these. So let's open it up and see what we have. I'm going to just take the cover and I'm going to put it to one side for now. And here we have the very first page. It just is a pretty page. I've taken one of her lovely pieces of paper. I used probably Romance 1 and 2, Divinity Pink, Cinnamon Blush, any of her pink journal kits that I could cobble together. I have pretty much used little bits and pieces of all of them. This is one of her labels. I love her label collection, but I did just sort of collage some French book page, vintage French book page onto this piece of paper, and I had this amazing piece of tatting that was literally, it was, I don't know, I think it must have been a trim on a doily of some sort, because it was sewn into one loop, and it just was exactly the right size to loop around this page, and it continues on to the next page. And if I'm going to bring it up close so you can see how beautiful this tatting is, and it's very loose and floofy and just so romantic. The first page is a pocket. It's a side tuck pocket, and what I have done is I have made one of my very first in this. I consider this to be a writing journal because there's a lot of places to write, a lot of journal cards, large journal cards, and some booklets to write in, and notepads. And this is just a plain notebook that's just plain paper, but it is the cover is coffee dyed cardstock, and it made a really lovely cover. On this page we have one of my one of her pretty love hearts that she makes, like the faux wax seals, and I've just made it into sort of a hidden paper clip, and behind it I have placed this envelope that's made. This comes from Nest, this lovely pink. This was I think my official favorite pink cameo paper because of the roses, and it's stuffed with a cluster and some vintage French book pages and a Welsh hymnal page, which is really pretty. And then here I stated I made a lot of large journaling cards, and here is one. You could write a lot on the back of this journaling card, and the collage is all Paper Cameo papers that I have just compiled and put together, bits and pieces of cast off. And I made this fun little floofy dangle when I was having to trim one of the notepads that I made. It was too big for the envelope, so I had to trim it down, and it made this lovely bit of trim. So never throw anything away. Let me turn this page. Here's another one of her labels that I've made into a tuck spot, and I've taken this amazing fun picture from her Magnolia kit, and I've just embellished it with, this is all white netting that I have just taken pink Tim Holtz Distress ink and just spread it all over it. And then in the back it has a little envelope, a tuck spot, and an envelope that you can open up. I haven't stuffed this one yet. I have a few more things to stuff in this book, but I've been working away on it, and I finally decided I have to stop and just show it. So, but they go back there like that. I love those two ladies. Here is another one of the wonderful journaling cards, all blank on the back, made on coffee dyed cardstock, and it just fits in there into this tuck spot like that. This is a shoe that I have, and I just thought it went so perfectly with this kit, and I've just embellished the leaves with some gold paint, and it does open up and you can write in there. And here's another one of the collage tags that I made, another journal card, and another place to write right here above this really, really pretty lace pocket that I made, and I constructed it with this little snippet of lace. It is lined with a little bit of fabric, and then this is sari silk, which I have gathered up and made some crinkle ribbon rosettes, and that just all goes back into that pocket like that. That shoe, I love that shoe. Now here on this page, the bottom trim is a coffee filter ruffle with one of the Paper Cameo, oh, I had something fall out back here. Let me just stick this back there. But here's one of the envelopes that comes in the kits, and this is one of her lovely, lovely journal cards. This journal is stuffed with writing places. So I'm not going to say it's a purely decorative journal. I'm going to declare it to be a writing journal. And if you take that off, here's another one of the pages, which I have collaged with French book pages, and you can embellish these as you like. You could add a pocket if you so chose, but I do think that the envelope serves as a nice removable pocket. This is another one of my favorite images in Paper Cameo. I collaged a bit on it, but I couldn't cover up the image. So I left it as a really beautiful page just to look at. But next to it, I did make a pocket out of one of the papers, the Poetry of Flowers, and the pocket is stuffed with a really lovely tag. I love the two-tone monochromatic shades of this tag, the crackle around the edge, and once again, another wonderful place to write. I mean, this journal is just jam-packed full of wonderful places to just write things that you want to say. And another one of her really, really, really pretty little journaling cards. I've lined every single journaling card with coffee dyed paper. I print them on cardstock, and then I line them with coffee dyed paper, or I print them on coffee dyed cardstock and line them with coffee dyed paper. This is a really special envelope. I've been hoarding this piece of Parisian wallpaper. It's from Paris, forever and ever, and I just love it so much, and it just made a really wonderful big pocket envelope here, and there is something in it. Let me just see if I can get it out. I know there we go. And here's another one of the journaling cards that I've made. Once again, I made this one on coffee dyed cardstock. This is one of the labels, and I've just collaged bits and pieces of all the papers, and I'm just going to stick that back in there like that. It does close up with these little twisties. I love making these twisties. And if you turn the page, this is my favorite journal card that I made when I was making this journal. I made it using her labels. I collaged her labels. There is a little bit of that Parisian wallpaper just to, because it's attached to the wallpaper, but this is my favorite journaling card, and I lined it especially with a pink dyed paper. It's just so, so pretty. It's just, the labels make wonderful collage opportunities. Here's a antique piece of French music, and you open it up. There's a hidden pocket with another little tiny book page, bookmark or journal card. Here is a journal card. This is actually one of my digitals. I just love it, and it goes so well in this journal. I just stuck it in there. Now, this is a really fun page. I had this little piece of crochet something or other, and I wove some crinkle ribbon in and out, tied knots at each end, and then smushed a flower with my iron, added some green crinkle ribbon for leaves, and then made it a tuck spot using some avocado dyed paper. I have stuffed in there a vintage glassine envelope. If you can see what I've done with this glassine envelope for decor, it's just some sari silk, some pink net, and some little flowers with tiny little bling in the middle. And then I really love this. I found these old, well, these aren't old. I printed these off and then I aged them to the best of my ability. They feel old. They're kind of fragile now. I just worked away at them, making them look as old as possible. And then it just goes into this envelope like this. This is a really lovely old glassine envelope. And that goes in there like that, and that just tucks away up there in that tuck spot. Once again, you can write on the back of that. It's another journal opportunity. Here is one of my digitals. I love this lady. She was kind of faded, but I spruced her up in Photoshop, made her look a little bit pinker, a little more healthy looking, and used some bling to offset her. Once again, here's a little tuck spot. I still need to finish that out, but this is a lovely, lovely journal card. And once again, here is one of my collaged journal cards that I've made. I love collaging items to match with a journal, and all her labels just add such wonderful opportunities to do this with. This actually is a card that is from Ruby and Pearl. I love it, but it's a big, big journal card. And this is a bezel that I made several years ago, and I've been just looking for the perfect place to put this lovely face, and she just fit perfectly on that bezel like that. And so I just really wanted her to shine, so I've got her sort of as the star of this page. Another page that I can't bring myself to do anything to. I contemplated making two pockets here and here with these lace pieces, but I just love her, and I've got a lot going on next to her, so I just think she can be there by herself dancing away, looking beautiful. Here is a pocket that opens up, and inside this pocket I have, now this is a scrappy pad made by Mary of A Passion for Paper, which she's just an amazing artist. I love Mary. She's a lovely, sweet person, and she was so sweet to use some of my digitals, but these scrappy pads cannot be beat. And I always try to have a little stash of Mary's scrappy pads in my supplies, and her shop is A Passion for Paper. And then you can write on the back of this envelope, but in the envelope there is another journal card with this wonderful picture that is tucked away, has a real hydrangea behind a piece of mica, another journaling place, but it's just tucked away in this very, very old piece of French book page. And it goes in easiest from the back if you put it in like this. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. There you go. Alrighty, so, oh, and this, I don't know where that came from. Oh, this came from this page right here. So here's another one of the giant journaling cards. Lots of room to write, a sweet little picture, and one of Nicola's wonderful, wonderful tags. like I said, everything is lined in a coffee dyed paper. Now here is, I took one of her papers and I turned it into like sort of almost an accordion envelope. It does have this little cluster that I made, some vintage French missal, and then inside I have tucked one of her wonderful envelopes and a whole stash of Nicola journaling cards. This is my favorite. I love those roses. I love the Queensland stamp. And I think that's wonderful to honor Australia by having this Queensland stamp on the journaling cards. I just love that feature of Nicola's work. Now here's another little teeny vintage glassine envelope, and I've decorated with a little bit of pink net and bling, and it's another one of those, and this one I folded in the French way, and another one of those lovely reproduction etchings that I have aged and aged and aged, and I love this one, La Rose. And I wish you could feel these because they feel almost leathery. I purposely aged it so that it was very leathery feeling. I crinkled it and squished it and ironed it, and I even starched it to give it a certain feel. So I love aging up old etchings like that. We'll put that back in there. And then here's a journaling card from my digitals, and another one of Nicola's wonderful journaling cards. And that goes in that little lace pocket right there. Now here is, I love this fan. I actually took this fan, I cut it out, and then I folded it so that it looks very actual fan-like. I added one of my coffee filter ruffles, one of my oyster shell ruffles, and then I made this very simple little journal to write in, and it's just made with coffee dyed and pink dyed paper. I let the pink dyed paper hang out a little bit, and there is a place to stash something right there, but on both the front and the back. This is some trim that was gifted to me by my sweet friend, my teammate on the Sampool Design Team, Pat Winter. Lovely trim that I've hoarded and finally used because I was making a pink journal and it just had to be in here. And here's another journaling card just stashed away in that pocket. Another page that I couldn't bear to cover it up. I mean, how could you cover up this rose? You can't. So it's collaged, and then I did take a butterfly from one of her journaling cards and I just placed it like it just landed there on those flowers. This is an envelope that is made from some vintage music sheet. Here is just a little, a digital that I have. I put another one of the butterflies that they came together, landed on this picture. It's another journal place. And then in this envelope, I have one of her wonderful labels. I just love that label, Les Roses. That's my favorite one. And I think this comes from Chapter 1 papers. I love those little seed packets. They're just so endearing. And here is one of the love eyes that Nicola has in her kits that I have made sort of 3D and put a paper clip behind it. And then there is this little pocket that still needs to be stuffed. I haven't had time to stuff that one yet. I just ran out of time. And then you turn, and the back of this pocket that I created with music, there's another pocket that I embossed, some avocado dyed paper. I embossed it, took one of her lovely tuck spots, made it into a flap, and then in here, and I'm not going to try to put this back in. I'm going to show it to you, but I'm going to put it to the side. I made my own kind of scrappy pad. This one has a lot of blank papers that you can write on. This is a bit of diary from Dorothy Wordsworth, and my purpose in putting that in here was sort of to encourage whoever to create their own diary, and I'm going to just put that to the side because it takes a while to put that back in there. And then here is, this goes in here like that, the last page has the stuffed heart for this journal. It is decorated with coffee filter ruffles, and it's stuffed with cards that are backed with, printed on cardstock and backed with coffee dyed paper, a little cluster, and some vintage French book page. And then it just closes up like that. That's the back page. And so we will get our protective cover and put it back on. And then the way you can tell which way you're supposed to, I have some pretty bling right there. You just easily clip it up. And there you have it. And that's my pink Paper Cameo journal. I believe this journal is spoken for. I'll contact the person who had first dibs on it, and I will put it in my shop if they are no longer interested in having it. But thank you so much for watching. I can't tell you how much I enjoy sharing with everybody. And if you have any questions about anything, please just reach out to me and I will try to answer all your questions. Thanks to everyone who likes and subscribes and sends such lovely, nice comments to me. I just love everybody. And thank you so much. Have a really, really happy Sunday. Bye.